Are y'all ready to roll? Let's go.
I have been looking forward to this episode since I got the script because white tears is one of my favorite subjects. I can't wait to call that out. Let me bring in three of my favorite people to run through this. Dr. Bryant is here. Welcome.
What's up, Dog Squad, Truth Tellers? Yeah, we're talking about white tears, the Karens, and we're talking about black tears, the strength in black women, and how our tears aren't always coming from our eyes. They might be coming in different ways that people don't understand. And so can't wait to get into that because this hits home for me.
Indeed. Somebody who never cries, Dimitri Wiley.
Cry all the time. What? Do you know me? No.
When was the last time you cried?
Huh?
When was the last time you cried?
Last time I cried, maybe probably like 3 weeks ago. I have an aunt battling some health issues, and we pray and we cry together. That's just what we do. But yeah, very in tune with those lovers. I see you. I know you know. It's a pleasure to be here.
You know, I appreciate you said that, Dimitri. I want to cry sometimes. There are moments when I get that feeling, but I'm so deeply socialized to not cry that it doesn't even come out. Yeah. Lauren Lake, maybe you could provide some advice or therapy for me.
Let it go. Let it go. Yeah, nothing wrong with having a tear. Nothing wrong. My daddy was emotional and strong, but yes, he could cry a tear of joy, of frustration. I love that about him, and I try to give that to my son as well. Although we do have to make sure we're not just raising people just run around crying all the time.
Sure, of course.
Dr. B.
Of course. I mean, you know, I think it's okay for men to cry.
Yes,
I am okay with being emotional, but I'm so deeply socialized that it just won't come out. You know, but. You feel it and let yourself feel it. It's okay. It's okay to let yourself feel it. Right, Dimitri? It's okay to let yourself feel it.
This is true. True statement.
Let's get into some heavy topics today because we got the big, difficult things to run through today. Our friend Tyler Perry, we respect him. He's in a lot of hot water. Actor Derek Dixon has filed a $260 million lawsuit against Tyler Perry, citing sexual harassment, assault, workplace retaliation, other things. Perry denies all of this, calls it a fabricated scam. But goddamn, this is a hell of a story for Tyler Perry to deal with, and our community is talking about it in a wide variety of ways. Let's look at what my friend Don Lemon had to say and what my man Jason Lee had to say.
Just looking at this lawsuit, Jason, I don't know. I mean, $260 million. Like, come on now.
Listen, Don, let me just cut straight to it. I recently have been getting to know Tyler, and because we wanted to honor him this year at my award show, which we're honoring you, by the way. I have found him to be very professional, also very respectful. Now, that's not to say that nothing could happen, but let's like unpack this a little bit. None of us have ever heard from Tyler Perry's lips that he was gay. So this is also an attempt to out him and an attempt to embarrass him. And most celebrities who don't have the resources will fold under the pressure because they just want the headline to go away. If I tell somebody right now in the DM, which I probably have, yo, you're fine as shit. I want to sleep with you. Where is that worth $260 million? I'm a single man. Men walk up to women in the club every day and say, hey, I want to sleep with you. And women have the right to say no. In this case, those text messages don't say no. And it don't say that he's done anything to go beyond the scope of being interested in another person. So I'm confused.
Jason makes an interesting point. This could be partly about trying to out Tyler, who has not himself confirmed or talked about what he does on his own time. Actor Alan Payne from House of Payne had issues with Tyler behind closed doors. Alan has since gone silent. Last year, Christian Keys suggested in a post that he was harassed by a powerful black man. That's Alan, a powerful black man in the industry, and he's since gone silent. Let's listen to Christian Keys and take a look and notice there's definitely a lot of pain in his voice.
I was the one that was sexually harassed for years, bullied, intimidated, and sexually harassed for years. You get a grown-ass man that knows that you're heterosexual and you're sleeping off Hennessy in his guest room, and this dude tries to climb into bed with you. So you spaz out, push him out, like, what the fuck? Get ready to leave. He apologizes, blame it on the alcohol. And you try to forgive him. So you're like, all right, man. All right, I'm gone. You shake his hand on the way out, and he tries to grab your penis. So if people don't believe me, they can hear him in his voice. I can press play and you can hear the person and you'll know immediately who the person is that's offering me $100,000 to strip.
Doc, some very heavy things being alleged here by multiple men, and a lot of people right away would go, how come it's all men and there's no women?
The only thing I see being legally wrong here would be if this man was an employee for Tyler, which you said he was working on one of his movies, right? So to me, that would be where it's off, it's wrong, it's legally, obviously, a crime. But take that out of it, based on the context of their text messages. It was just what my guy Jason Lee said. It was two men who were indirectly playing and flirting, and Tyler was just texting, kind of more of temperature checking. I felt like the texts were temperature check. This is how I feel, and I don't want to, go to bed horny, and I don't like doing these things. And it wasn't even a very aggressive one. It was a temperature check to see how this guy would respond. And the guy never shut down anything and said, hey, I think you talking to me about being horny is inappropriate on the text. I mean, or, hey, maybe this isn't the conversation we should be having as doing business together. And I know some people think it's not a grown adult accountability to pivot someone and to check them in their tracks. I believe, because I've done it many times, where I'm having a conversation with a gentleman, and he may take the conversation via text or Zoom or telephonically to another place where we're not talking about what we're talking about. And I have said clearly, listen, we'd love to continue this conversation as long as it's going to be business. But if it ends up being something else, you're overstepping my boundaries and it is inappropriate. So either I'm going to end the conversation, or we just can't do business together, or we have to get back on topic. There is nothing wrong with pivoting and setting strong boundaries so people understand that. I'm speaking about not the Christian guy, the first one, Derek. Yeah,
I just don't understand how you can say telephonically, but you can't say genre. It's just Lauren. That is just blowing. I don't understand. It's not genre. I love you. It's not genre. It's genre. But telephonically just rolls right off the tongue without a problem.
Nope. Yeah, because you know why? Because I do virtual telephonic and virtual sessions every day when I'm in my private practice. So it's easy for me.
Within a specific genre.
But listen, don't worry about how I say things. Let's get back on topic, okay? People get my message. They don't have to hear my words. That's what it's about. Not about looking or sounding good. It's about having a message that's impactful. My message is impactful. My point is, besides them being employees and working together, that's the only place I can see Tyler making a bad move, what could be a crime. But I feel like it is very, very natural and okay, regardless of whatever his preference is, if he finds someone attractive, it's not your employee or not a minor, for you to say, hey, bro, I find you attractive. I'm in the bed horny. I feel a certain way.
I think the situation is a little bigger than you're making. I want to bring in Gerald Griggs, attorney, NAACP president in Georgia, friend of the show. Gerald, are you hearing crimes here?
So I got a chance to go through the entire complaint, and there are a lot of salacious details in the complaint, some allegations of assault, physical assault at his Douglasville home. So it's a bit more than what's in the text messages. I mean, at one point he says he physically assaulted him by grabbing his buttocks and stripping his clothes off of him. So there's more there, but we have to be clear that these are mere allegations that are made in a legal filing. And there has not been any contact to law enforcement to verify any of the claims. But from what I read, it's very disturbing. But again, we have to remember $260 million is the opening offer in this lawsuit. And so it seems as though this is an attempt to recoup damages and not to seek criminal prosecution.
Lauren, what do you think about this proceeding?
I think I'm disappointed. I think that Tyler, with his level of success and just his level of operation, I mean, he runs this was a former Army base size operation, right? These are things that your lawyers, your HR, I mean, these are just elementary things. I don't know if there's anything behind it, but if I'm being very honest as an attorney, I don't even like the text exchange. I don't like the dynamic of the text exchange. I don't think that that is appropriate between an employee and an employer because it too easily can be misconstrued or manipulated to advantage, right? You know, a lot of people are saying this guy is just shaking him down. He's a manipulator. And so then you have to ask yourself, well, can a manipulator be manipulated? Follow me here. It is possible for a manipulator to then to be manipulated. And it's also important to note that some manipulation isn't illegal and some manipulation is. And when you are an employer and you have an employee and you start talking about little sexual nuances, as Doc said, to test the waters, where are we at with this, revealing perhaps, and look, all of this is alleged in a complaint, you know, in the civil suit, as Gerald has said. But if these things are true, these kind of conversations are not what you need to be having with an employee on any level, because it sets already an uncomfortability that the employee doesn't really know, how do I get around and still keep my job? What if I don't want to talk about it anymore? How do I tell my boss I don't want to talk about it? Okay, and listen, women, we've been in these situations. I know I have. When you know that a boss of yours or someone you're working for is interested in you beyond the workplace, and the way you have to maneuver, and many of us have done these maneuvers, men too. And I just think, I pray that these are not true, because I feel like this is like sexual harassment in the workplace 101. Don't do this. Don't have this kind of, who wouldn't want to date him? I mean, you know what I mean? Even gay or not gay, I mean, he could date whomever. Why have these conversations with this guy?
Dimitri, you know, the sister makes a good point that this happens to men as well, which is the suit is alleging. I had a famous male boss who took a liking to me and started calling me. And there was a Sunday night, I recall, where he had me on the phone for about an hour, and there was no professional reason for us to be talking because there was a buffer between us. So I would talk to my direct. So it's just personal. And he's asking me, come over. And I'm going, no, because I don't want to do that. That's not how I get down, but also not with somebody who's my boss's boss. And it was very uncomfortable. And I really liked working there. And I wasn't really wanting to leave. And I wasn't going to get in the situation. But then you're worried about, well, I've politely said no, but is that going to have an impact or what? What do I do when I see this person in the office? And it was extremely complex and uncomfortable. Your thoughts?
It would make anybody uncomfortable, and I can absolutely understand it. Just like Judge said, this is one-on-one sexual harassment in the workplace. But I think the thing about it is, where this gets complicated, this is the head of everything. This one move ends your entire career. So for me, his sexuality being in question with this, I think I'm just speaking for the people I know, we all kind of thought Tyler, you know what I'm saying, maybe swung that way from the caricatures to the, mannerisms to whatever the case is. It was already in people's mind. But to bring it to the forefront, I think that's the threat that they're trying to pose. Because this is new light. No, if Tyler's never said it, it's never been confirmed. So to bring that, they want that to be the threat to Tyler. Tyler's been, if allegedly from the victims and the time periods, he's been doing this for quite some time. I think there's a man, just my opinion, I think there's a man attracted to man. And to Judge Lauren, she asks, why? You can get anybody you want. Why? Again, it's the psychology behind it. I want what I want, and I'm going to do whatever's necessary to put me getting what I want to the forefront of the conversation. That's investment in careers and all of these things. So it's a psychology behind it.
If you're in a position where you can get anybody you want, which I imagine he probably is in his life, but then Dimitri, if he decides he wants somebody who's not sure or doesn't want him back, well, now we're in a position where the guy who never really hears no is saying, I want that. And, and I mean, when you talk about Christian and Alan Payne, there's a lot of smoke there.
But can I say something? what's amazing me is that because these are men presenting themselves and coming to the forefront, this is getting a lot less light than it should. If this was a woman, this would be everywhere. Like if this was a woman that Tyler Perry has done these things to, this would be everywhere. I'm seeing more attention on Tyler Perry's new movie on Netflix.
What if Tyler was a woman? What about that? What if Tyler was a woman? Making suggestive comments and such to a male.
I think it's similar to this situation. It get wiped under the table. I think there's the idea of a male being the victim that the world just doesn't want to accept.
Yes.
Fully. I think that's a problem I'm looking at with this situation. And that's a problem for me.
I want to move on to our politicking segment because we have a really important conversation that we have to have because we are at war, America. We drop bombs on Iran because Israel asked us to, basically, and now we're in a crazy situation. For a lot of us, we were already laughing about this when Tucker Carlson and Rafael Cruz had a wild conversation which showed how little Cruz knows and suddenly how much Tucker actually cares about Iran. Let's watch that. We are currently now at war with Iran. Since that ridiculous conversation where he contradicted himself, we have bombed Iran. Now, it is critical for you guys watching this. If you want to understand what's actually going on, you cannot watch CNN and American media. You have to look at something like Al Jazeera or Truth Talks, which will tell you what's really going on over there because you're not getting it from traditional American media. They will tell you that we have bombed multiple nuclear sites in Iran. The fact is that their nuclear sites exist inside mountains miles down beneath the surface. So whatever bomb you drop did actually nothing. Iran is working on a digital response to America, perhaps. Some people are saying that there will be a internet-based retaliation against America, and there's already operatives in America embedded here who can help with that. But even without going that far, Lauren, we have 40,000 troops in the region. We have multiple military bases in the region. All of those people and all of those bases are currently on high alert because Iran could decide to attack any of them. And I don't know that Americans are ready to see American blood be spilled against Iran, a country that they can't articulate why would we be fighting them. And a lot of Americans are like, why are we going to war for Israel when they started this under completely illegal pretenses?
We're overwhelmingly not ready to go into this war. I mean, we're shouting it from the rooftops, and yet no one's listening, right? And here comes Trump with his little Article 2 power that he knows he has because presidents have used it in the past, and he goes over there and, here we go. And I mean, honestly, you all, I had trouble sleeping last night. I don't know if anybody else is just, but it from a mother standpoint, right? Take lawyer hat off, take TV hat off. I'm talking about just from a mother standpoint. Like I'm now having to start to have this conversation with my son. Like this is where we are now. This is somewhere this could have real consequences. And I think the majority of the American people were not wanting to do this. I mean, I'm listening to Tucker Carlson, like word for word, like, oh Lord, I'm going toe to toe with Tucker. He's actually asking my questions. I'm actually agreeing. You all, this is insanity. And I mean, I'd like to hear, Gerald's here too, and I'm so glad you're here because, you're definitely work more hand in hand with government and all of the things with the NAACP. What are the thoughts? Are some of your colleagues reaching out to you? What is the thought behind this? And what standing do the American people have at this point? He's got like 48 hours that he needs to engage Congress. After he's done. Has he done that?
Well, let's unpack that because I spoke to a former congressman this morning to understand exactly the legal point that you're raising. And traditionally, Congress authorizes war. So the president would have to go to Congress to have an act of war. Since 9/11, we gave the president the ability to declare
Not
war, and I may be getting
here.
the language there wrong, but because of 9/11, right? He doesn't have to. He can launch an attack
Yes.
without going to Congress first. Now he will have to report back to Congress. This is what I'm doing. The report back, Gerald, will be our base got attacked here, and this number of soldiers got killed. And I can't imagine how Trump would explain to America this is why we're in this situation.
So what you have to understand is after 9/11, the Congress ceded some of its war power to the president for an imminent threat.
Yes.
Right.
And so he has 48 hours to go back to Congress to report. So that's why he was able to launch these attacks. And so as you've all stated, we've been watching this with bated breath. I was driving back from Albany, Georgia, when my phone started buzzing saying the president had tweeted that he attacked Iran. I'm sorry. And so the first thing that went in my mind was, oh my God, we're not ready for a land war against one of the most imminent regimes that has been, against America for a while. And so to hear the logic last night for 10 minutes of him just saying things that probably won't bear out to be true, and then to understand many of our family members and our friends are going to have to go over into the region or already in the region, the 40,000 troops that are already there, the military bases, the ships, the submarines, for what? This president ran on a platform of no more forever wars. He criticized the withdrawal from Afghanistan, but now we're going into the biggest beehive in the region. And for what reason? We have to remember history now. What happened in Israel was about Palestine, and then they attacked Iran. And so to understand that there's an aggressor in the region that's not working in the best interest of the region, and now 100%. They pick to fight with the biggest power in the region that potentially has nuclear weapons. And so I don't understand the rationale without making the case to Congress. If he wants to go to war, he needs to make the case, and I don't think the case is there.
And where's the imminent threat to us?
Dimitri, Israel has made Jewish people around the world less safe by being so bellicose vis-a-vis Palestine, right? And people are protesting that in a righteous way, and some people are doing tragically horrifying things toward Jewish people, which we do not support. However, we understand psychologically, Israel is creating a situation where the world is less safe for Jewish people. That aside, Israel is now doing something that is making the world less safe for Americans. Any building in America could drop at any second right now. If you think that Iran would never come here, that's insane. We are a giant, very vulnerable target. And we are basically a bull in a glass shop, acting like we can't get hurt. Over there, Dimitri, they're used to bombs. So a building falls down, they don't freak out. America, one building fall, we will freak the fuck out. And we will probably not want to be in this war at all.
We can't even handle a snowstorm here in America. Anything unexpected. So, and then we go call for the unexpectancy. Like, we send the first shot, knowing we ain't prepared for the fight is insane to me. But I think what gets me the most is that we're not just scattered on the fighting aspect of it, the war aspect of it. We're scattered all together, like all at once. Like we're screwed on a global stage when it comes to us in America. Like, if you really pay attention to it, we have no like unified media or anything. Like, you're announcing this over a tweet. You're saying this through Twitter. My grandma ain't got no Twitter. She probably needs to know this information. You know what I'm saying? Like, the thing about it is, this should be public service announcements. And we making it seem like, oh, this is just another thing here and there. We're bigger than them. We can handle this. It's terrifying.
Lauren, for our entire lives, unease in the Middle East has been a constant headline that keeps recurring. And it's been about Palestine. It's been about Israel. It's been about Iraq. It's been about Iran. It's been about Kuwait and Qatar. I mean, you might say, why, Gerald referenced the beehive. This is because America is in the region radicalizing people, messing up governments. America deposed the democratically elected leader of Iran, which led them into this more religious leadership that they have now, which is why part of why we're in this situation now. So America has been manipulating and screwing up the situation in the Middle East for decades at a leadership level and at a terrorism level, right? So many of our prisons there and the occupations we've had there have radicalized people there. And then we wonder why they're so bellicose, why they're so warlike, because we're occupying them and we're in their face killing their people.
We are notorious in this country for throwing the rocks and then hiding the hand. I mean, that's just something that we've been in. And before we move on, though, I have to say this, because when Gerald said this, I thought this was an important point that we kind of skipped over. When you describe what the president's power was, and we talked about this, yes, other presidents have done it under Article 2. The threat needs to be imminent. And I yelled out, and I need to get to this point. Where was the imminency? Where was the imminent threat? And I mean, I'm stuck on that.
Well, let me give you an answer. Let me give you an answer.
Please do. And I want to ask this too.
The 51st state is under an imminent threat.
Okay. So, okay. And I want you to continue this. I want to add on this. So where's the imminent threat to us as to what would give him the power? Because, I mean, some people are saying he should be impeached. They should call for impeachment because of this, that this was an abuse of power. What are your thoughts on it, Gerald, in terms of the imminent, and is it an imminent threat to our country, or is it an imminent threat to our ally, which is Israel? Where's the imminent threat have to lie? Because I was sitting up reading last night trying to figure that out.
Gerald, what do you think?
The imminent threat has to be to the United States of America. And I understand.
But Israel is technically part of the United States of America.
Is an ally of the United States.
It's not a state, it's an ally.
It's more than an ally. You know that. It is the number one ally in the world.
I'm just going down what the law says. Okay.
Yes.
And so it's an ally. And so if the ally is attacked, he needs to go through Congress to get authorization to do this. That the idea is that Iran is working on a nuclear weapon, and that sounds very familiar. We were told a few decades ago that a certain country had weapons of mass destruction, and so we had to go in. And so we went in twice, and twice we saw no evidence of weapons of mass destruction, which led to the Twin Towers falling and us the 20 years war in Afghanistan. So in order for us to fully ground this in history, we have to understand we've done this before. Right. And so for the president to unilaterally act when there was not an imminent threat, that's why individuals are calling for an impeachment. And that's also why elected officials on both sides want him to report to Congress about what's actually happening.
Doc, I want to underline a point within this that American intelligence said in March, Iran is not close to nuclear capability. And Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel have been saying they're 2 weeks away for 20 years. This is the okie doke. This is pulling the football away. This is the lie that Israel has been using for 2 decades to get us to come to their aid against Iran. If they leave Iran alone, Iran won't attack them.
The Middle East has been going through this for decades. This isn't new. This is about Trump coming in and doing his bully tactic for power and control when it comes to the U.S. president and his leadership. His attack on them was in direct support of Israel's strike campaign, the Operational Rising Lion, correct? That's what he did. He gave Iran 60 days to agree to this peace treaty that he's telling them they need to agree to. And Trump said, buddy, it was day 61. And since you didn't agree on my terms to my terms like I wanted, boom, I'm bombing you, or I'm going to fake bomb, whatever you want to call it. OK, this was about the power of Trump saying, I'm going to put pressure on the ultimatum that I gave you. And if you're going to line up with the pressure I'm putting on you, then I'll just bomb you. And we don't care about the people who are there, the 40,000 military folks, personnel that are there. And we're not also going to tell our people in our country that we're going to bomb you. And we're going to have our senator come on there and sound incompetent as hell, totally disconnected from my cabin, and not even understand the strategy of what we're about to do. The senator told the U.S. people 24 hours before bombing another country,
You don't know.
we're not bombing anybody.
You don't
So
know.
what I'm saying is this is not even just the leadership meeting at the head, which is Trump. We're talking about the people in his cabin, the senators, our elected officials, having no clue as to what is going on in the country with the people that they are serving. That's the part to me that is the most scary. It's one thing to make a decision. We don't even know the decision you're making, and then you're lying to us, or you're incompetent, or both, and saying, we're not bombing anybody. All for Trump to say, hold on, Torre, you didn't listen to me on the 60 days I gave you to come to a treaty.
Yeah.
In a Middle Eastern region that has been at odds for decades. You thought these people were going to just wake up and say, because you're Trump, we're going to come to this peace treaty. We're going to sign. Everybody's going to stop bombing. Come on now.
Hey, Gerald, one thing that I noticed in all this, because we heard for a very long time that Israel has an iron dome and no one can attack them. And even Trump said we should have something like that, right? And he started working on maybe we have discovered that the Iron Dome is not a dome, and it is not repelling most of Iran's rockets into Israel. And Israel is dealing with a very serious military problem. A lot of very real buildings over there are falling every day. It's been about 10, 11, 12 days that their buildings are falling, and that is going to continue. Americans are probably nervous, and they should be nervous because Trump has walked us into an horrific situation. And I don't know what's going to happen. And I don't know how to tell people not to be nervous.
Well, it's right for them to be nervous because we are still not talking about another key crucial impact of this. Iran has allies, namely Russia and China.
Yep.
And so if you study world history, it's events like this that lead to two sides forming and a big war coming. Now, I'm not being facetious to say this could be the opening shots of a world war, but he needs to understand that the American people need to know what is happening in real time so that they can make the decisions through their duly elected bicameral House, the Senate, and the House to make a decision on whether or not it's in the best interest of this country to go to war. What happens with this president is whenever he's in a sticky situation, he causes something else to happen as a distraction. This was the worst possible distraction he could possibly get us involved in.
I don't know if this is a distraction, brother, and I know that strategy. I know that playbook. You're 100% right that he does that a lot. I think Israel purposely dragged us into this situation. I don't think Israel attacked Iran to then give a distraction to Trump. I think Israel is dealing with their situation, their long-term genocide of the Palestinian people. And they said, well, perhaps they said, let's have a distraction because America will come to our aid. I just want to note one thing here, Dimitri, also, because Gerald makes the point that this could lead to a geopolitical chess match, a World War III. I want to go a little smaller. One thing we have seen in the last 20 years is it's very, very difficult for even a large army from America or Russia to go into a smaller country and win. It's nearly impossible. Those people have been repelled over and over and over, especially in the Middle East. So the notion of we have the most powerful army in the world, that is true. That's not going to make a damn bit of difference in Iran.
Yeah, I think the thing about it is to any war, to any regard, there's always collateral damage. You got to look at how much you're willing to lose. Even if you have the numbers and you send them in there, how many people are you losing? And I think the thing about it is all of this seems like I'm a president, I can hit a button and I can go hide in my bunker. So when they drop a bomb back, it's not really about my people. I love the idea of impeachment. Get them the fuck out of here. Because at this point, you don't care what happens. My lip a little heavy. I'm sorry about that. But you don't care what you actually lose in this regard. And for me, I think there's people out here who truly feel like powerless. There's people out here who truly feel like there's nothing that they could do. But I want to encourage people to continue having them conversations with your family, continue making them posts, informing other people of what's going on, because that's their plan. Their plan is to get us in silence, in discomfort, in defeat, and just do what they want to do and lead the blind. But you got to keep those conversations alive.
You want to have those conversations. You want to understand this particular story. American news outside of Truth Talks will not be helpful to you. And I understand this as a person who married into a Lebanese/Persian family. And going over there and talking to my relatives who live in the region and hearing about Lebanon and Israel and what's going on from over there, I had an entire radicalization and a completely 180 of like understanding what's really going on and the way Israel acts in the region as opposed to the story that we get here. So if you really want to understand this, like I said, you got to look at Al Jazeera. You got to look at Middle East Monitor. You got to look at sources that are focused and centering sources in that region, because Israel is purposely preventing the truth from coming out. They say to each other in media, you're helping the enemy when you're reporting on where and how bad the attacks are. So they don't want you to know how bad it is for them. We have to go to Arab sources, to Middle Eastern sources to get the real information about what's really going on there. Doc, you want to make one more point?
You know, I just think everyone made great points. I'm just most disappointed in the fact that we as U.S. citizens cannot trust our leadership to provide us information that would allow us, at least within our household, within our communities, to prepare for whatever's coming. For me, that's the part that's scary, because it's like, you know, to Judge Lauren's point, I remember last night, I'm going to the gym to work out, and I'm like, damn, we just bombed somebody, and I'm headed to the gym. Like, what does that mean? They didn't give us any type of, you know, this is what this means. This is how you all can prepare in the event this happens, just so that the American people understand. These are maybe contacts or resources. I'm talking about, it felt so third world. It felt so like we had no leadership. It's been feeling like we have no leadership. And so for me, the folks that are out there who feel that, I just don't want them to feel like they are alone, or they are, you know, ignorant in their vulnerability to this lack of leadership. Most of us are feeling that way. And most of us are living this day by day, going from, like Dimitri said, a whack ass tweet, if you even have Twitter, to get information on what's going on in our nation that we are supposed to be safe in, to watching the news that's going to give us fake news that isn't even lining up with what's really going on. And so I just think that part is really, really just a detriment to us as American citizens. It really is.
You're right. And in a normal situation, the president would come out and give a speech. It could be a short speech, and explain, this is what we did and why. And He would say very succinctly and clearly, after we got bin Laden, President Obama came out and said, this is what happened, quickly explained it. So we get clear and concise information. You heard it from me. We did it. But of course, Trump is not doing any of that sort of due diligence whatsoever. So we have this situation where we're being misinformed by the White House, by Raphael, by American media, and we can only learn what's really going on by listening to this show or things that originate out of there.
And just one more thing, Touré, with 4th of July coming up, right? I just thought, okay, so our Independence Day is coming up. Is that going to be a vulnerable, you know, holiday for anyone, the Middle East or Iran, to even say, hey, this is. So I'm looking at all these different, you know, angles. And again, with leadership who's not giving us any resources, it just feels like we are very wide open in ways that we shouldn't feel like we are. Not with the military that is the biggest, baddest, strongest military in the world. There should be a lot more of a provision that we feel from our leadership.
So hold on, let me get out of here, Joe, because I want you to be a big part of the next topic, because it's Iran does not have nuclear weapons, but white women do, and it's called white tears. And when they start crying, shit goes nuts. White tears summon cops, black tears summon suspicion. From barbecue Becky to permit Patty, we have seen this over and over. A white woman starts crying and everyone freaks out, coming to her aid. It's disgusting. And we want to talk about how white femininity weaponizes privilege. Can we see the infamous barbecue Becky tape that we've all seen, but like, I want to bring it in.
I hear you have a problem with these gentlemen having a barbecue here at the lake. What's going on?
Now she don't want to talk.
She doesn't want to talk now.
It's illegal to have a charcoal grill in the park here.
No, it's not actually. I just
Yeah,
looked at the
it
map.
is.
It says this is a designated barbecue area.
No, not for a charcoal grill. No charcoal grills are allowed. Do you want to see it?
Can you give me the card back? Huh? Can you give me the card, you thief? Police, she stole my card and she's walking away from the crime scene and she's crying about it.
I am now walking up Brooklyn Avenue, and I'm going to enter the Quick Stop just so that there's another person to
Please
protect
know
me.
that as she exits into wherever she's going,
to be going to the
she's
Quick Stop
exiting
on
with
Brooklyn
my
Avenue
property.
and
She
Merritt
stole my card.
Street.
She stole my card. She's trying to escape. She's the one that's actually doing illegal activity. She's the criminal. I can't believe you're trying to call people on crimes and you're the one that steals shit. Like, that's crazy.
No, I do not see the police. I am now on Brooklyn Avenue and Merritt
So they can
Avenue.
give me my card back. I really do. I would love to explain this to them. I can give them all the footage. All of it. We have witnesses and everything. Nobody is touching you. Nobody's bothering you. You're the one that came at us. You're the one that sat there for 2 hours being mean to some 2 black men because they're barbecuing. That's what's really going on.
I am going to be inside the Quick Stop at Brooklyn Avenue and Merritt Avenue.
Can you give me my card back? You think I can't keep asking for this? Can you give me my card back?
Please leave me alone.
That's really triggering to watch. Doc, you know, the sort of white woman tears thing we all know about. Part of my question is, do they know what they're doing? You know, I once did, back when Twitter was a whole thing, I did a poll. I challenged my white female followers to admit that they understood what they were doing. And several people stepped up and said, yes, you are socialized as a teenager to understand that when a woman, a girl, starts to cry, the room will stop and everybody will turn into what she needs, and everybody will say, how does she get what she needs as fast as possible? And I think they absolutely know what they're doing.
That was your first question? My first question, Torre, was, girl, if you don't put that phone down and snatch your damn card back from this lady, you could record after. That's how I felt. You know, it's like, this is the thing. It's always looked at like the black woman is the antagonizer. We are the aggressor. Our needs don't hold value. Our voices are too loud, but our message is too low. And so when you have all of that versus the white women who her tears are screaming from a mountaintop, right? Everyone's supposed to adhere to that, stop to that, and put action to that, because there's power in her crying, because her cry is for help. And the black woman's cry is, we're tired, we're exhausted, we've been fighting for so long. And so because of that, right, we're looked at as the come out of the ring and come out of the cage and being in the lion's den per se persona. It gets the wrong connotation. And I think because of that, a lot of black women understand that, okay, my tears need to be saved for when I no longer can take it. My tears need to be saved for that nervous breakdown. My tears need to be saved for when I have time to cry. Because if you're talking about the black woman and putting weight and putting motherhood and wifehood and leadership and community and family and everything else on their shoulders, it's not even about can we cry, but do we have the time to cry? Do we have the space to cry? We got shit to do. What has crying done for us? And when we do cry again, that is called an emotion. And I'm gonna go psychological for a little second. When you're not used to being able to have your emotions work for you, you build a bad relationship with emotions and you start to suppress them instead of externalizing them. When your emotions, like white women, have been validated and coddled the whole time, you have a good relationship with emotions. So you crying and feeling them is something that you get rewarded for, and you get an action that results something positive for you. So what am I saying is that the black woman has that narrative anyways that says we don't have time to cry. We got shit to do. So so our tears show up a lot of times where they're externalized of we're fed up, we're tired. So it may look aggressive. exhausted, and it does look tired, and it does look fed up, because we are fed up. We're not aggressive. We have feelings, we have emotions, and we have weight that we always are not able to give to somebody else to carry. And our crocodile tears aren't always something that is solidified and coddled and respected.
Lauren, I think white women know what they're doing when they cry, and they know the power of their tears to get them the help and the attention and the centering that they are asking for. Do you think that they are doing it on purpose?
Yes, the precedent has been set. I mean, look at the past centuries: Jim Crow, lynchings, Emmett Till, God rest his soul. I mean, this is not anything new. As I talk about it all the time, it's a colonizer's playbook, and this is how they run it. White women are raised and socialized to know this, right? And use it, right? It's part of their power, right? Well, Black women, we see our power in other ways. They see this as part of their power, because often white women are socialized to be an extension of the male, an extension of the man. So right? So my cries go directly to the power structure, right? I'm connected to the light bulb. And so then when I cry, that connection goes up and boom, things happen. To Dr. G's point, for Black women, that's a whole different story. And so, yeah, I do think they know exactly what they're doing, wreaking havoc all over town, everywhere. And I think it's dangerous. Look at what happened in Manhattan. The gentleman, I can't call his name, who was bird watching. Yes, and all that went down. And he was graceful enough to say he doesn't want her to lose her job. No,
she did. She did.
Yeah, she need to. She need to have a lot happen, because that was all purposeful. And it's a little switch that they know how to pull, and it's dangerous.
Dimitri,
it's dangerous. To the point where, let me say this last point, because I'm gonna be very honest, and this, you say, is truth talk. As a mother of a young Black son, I have had to school him at age 14 what he will and what he will not do in the presence of a white girl or white woman, because of what her misinterpretation or her uncomfortability may cost him.
I appreciate the lesson, Dimitri, and we have to give our children, you're going to give your son that same sort of lesson, but we can't always control it. I'm thinking about a situation that happened to me out of the tennis courts like 3 weeks ago, where I had a dispute over a court with a white woman who we were just talking, and she said, "Oh, I'll just call the police." And now I'm nervous and like, what's going to happen when the police, are they going to believe me? And then when they came, she said out of nowhere, "He assaulted me." This is a true story. She said, "He assaulted me." I had never been within 12 feet. We argued. I cursed her out. She cursed me out, but I didn't touch her. I didn't even get anywhere near her. But she said that. So now I have a moment where I'm like, are the cops going to listen to her and like put me in the bracelets, and then I got to figure it out later? Or like, can we work this out here and now? And like, do you yourself, as a father and as a young man, worry about the power of white female tears as you move through the world, that anybody could say he did it, and next thing you know, you're in the sauce?
You know, I'm a yes and no. And the reason I say yes and no, because I'm going to make sure that when I'm preaching to my son, that he understands that there's power in his voice as well. I'll tell you about a very similar situation. I was working out downtown at this gym. I've been going to this gym for probably like 2 years. I was probably like 22 years old at the time. I'm on a treadmill, headphones in, white lady come tap me on the shoulder. She said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Excuse me?" She said, "How can you afford to be here?"
Oh, no.
Like this. I swear, right here to God. She comes to me, "How can you afford to be here?" I say, "I pay just like everybody else." I say, "What are you asking me?" She was like, "I don't know if you've looked around, but we don't have any basketball courts or anything at this gym." So I swear to God, like right here to God, I go to the front desk lady and I'm like, I'm being like harassed by this young woman here. Mind you, I'm calling a young woman, trying to be respectful. She's probably like 60 years old. And she like, I'm being harassed. She lost her membership. She lost everything. She had to go and get up out of there, escort her out. But the thing about it is, there's power in being, attentive to the situation, to say, I'm not going to let this get me out of character. I'm not going to let this change who I am. Now, it'd have been completely different if she snatched my headphones, you know what I'm saying? And she took possession of my property. Then my emotions may be riled. But it's important to I think advocate to the ones growing up that composure is a big deal, because once you break that composure, now you give them justification in the minds of these police officers who have to pull up and review this situation. If I'm the one yelling and angry and she's quiet and crying, you know what I'm saying? They're going to view it how they view it.
No, it's a great point. It's a fantastic point. I mean, like, it's about how we have to maintain our composure and dignity in moments when they don't. But when we do, we can have that power. I want to roll a moment that speaks to that. Remember Permit Patty?
This woman don't want to let a little girl sell some water. She calling police on an 8-year-old little girl. You can hide all you want. The whole world gonna see you, boo.
Appearing on the Today Show, Permit Patty, whose real name is Allison Edel, says she tried to be diplomatic by politely asking the girl's mother to keep the noise down.
And I said, please, I'm trying to work. You're screaming, you're yelling. And people have open windows. It's a hot day. Can you please keep it down?
But mom, Erin Austin, who recorded the video, says that's not how she remembers it happening.
She said, if you don't show me a permit, I'm calling the cops. Okay, call them. When she pressed 911 dial, I pulled my phone out of my pocket.
Illegally selling water without a permit?
What kind of monster calls the cops on a little girl? Whether she's black, brown, orange, yellow, purple.
But Edel says she was actually talking with the building's security guard, not police. She says she has received thousands of hateful messages.
All kinds of threats. Horrible images.
I know me and Dimitri sent her some of them, and she deserved all of them. But Gerald, part of the thing here, too, is we see them crying, and that brings the world running to paying attention to them. But then Black tears or Black truth or Black people saying, I want justice, is not given the same attention. Like, even like sisters crying is not responded to. Why is that? Why do we have that schism?
Well, I mean, it comes back to the history of this country. And when you first started this segment, the first thing I thought about was the tears of Carolyn Bryant, which was the young lady who said that Emmett Till whistled at her and it ultimately led to his death. And so we have to understand that this country is socialized to respond to white tears with violence and to respond to Black tears with acceptance or negating or pushing back. And we have to socialize our children, one, the proper response to it, but two, we have to change that paradigm and that narrative so that it doesn't happen moving forward. You know, as an African-American male, we all know what happens if a situation like that happens. Either the police are going to be called, you know, a few decades ago, the lynch mob was going to be called, because that's how the story starts. A white woman says a Black man looked at her the wrong way, whistled at her the wrong way. That's instant death. Now we call the police, and that's instant mass incarceration. So we just have to make sure that we understand that it is present. We have to respond to it, as Dimitri said, with that composure, but also understanding that we still now have weapons to push back, like recording, like making sure the truth is told about the encounters.
Yeah, and I think we also need to make identifying our emotions a norm in our community and our culture. How often do we pay attention to our own tears? How often do we hold a safe space for each other, Black folks, male and female, to have a space to just cry, to just support each other? How often do we pick up the phone and call each other within the Black community and say, you know, hey, Judge Lauren, I just need to talk. I'm having a moment. And her hold space for me, although she does it. But how often does it happen, even between the genders, Black men and Black women? Well, a lot of times we're not supporting each other in our emotional uproars. We're not being refuge for each other. And I'm not blaming us. I'm just trying to bring it to the nucleus of how we can support each other so that emotions being identified become a healthy norm and not something that's seen as weakness or a vulnerability for us to take advantage of each other, to say, oh, I see that this person has an issue. I see this person is weak because they're crying or they're in tears. No, let's be supportive of one each other. Let's go further, even in these broken families and broken homes. You know, how many times has a single mother cried? And the father of that child maybe not adhere to those tears? How many times has a father who's been a single father? Dimitri and I are very close. We've had conversation about this, where he may be very emotional behind his son and things of the matters that he's going through and wasn't always given the right support. So we have to make sure we always take it back in-house to say, let's normalize within our Black community that Black men crying is attractive. It is strong. It is vertical. It is externalizing your pain. And we support you and hold space for you. And I want to hear what you have to say. And I want to sit with you if I got to be quiet and hear you talk. Or maybe I got to give you some guidance on where to go with that pain. And Black women, you can cry as Black men. We hear your pain. We know you are right. You don't got to
hold on. I want to dive into that. And we're going to argue on another show because I want to dive deep on this one. But women, Black women are not here for Black men's tears at all. And nobody is policing us to man up more than them. But I want to focus on Black women's tears because that's what we're here to talk about right now. And Lauren, when a white woman cries, right, as we've said, the world comes to take care of her. When the Black woman cries, it's not the same, right? Is she being angry? Is she dramatic? You worry about getting into the ABW stereotype sort of thing, or she's a mess. It's not seen as like, oh, we must protect the damsel. It's like, what's wrong with her? Why isn't she strong enough? So why is it that our sisters' tears are met with suspicion and an expectation of you should be strong rather than wanting to protect her?
Because it's just I always talk about this because it's the truth. It's just an extension of the plantation. Black women were supposed to be emotionless caregivers, right? We take care of the kids. We breastfeed white babies on our breasts. We don't have nothing to say. We don't have no emotions. We keep everybody alive. We serve. We are raped. We still don't have emotion. Nothing in a Black woman's life is supposed to require us to emote. And I hate this, but we are an extension of that. We are an extension of the silent tears, the silent fears. We still deal with that and have to, as Dr. B just said, we have to war ourselves out of that and give ourselves permission. I'll also say I'm very guilty of having to make an appointment to emote, right? I'm a very fiery person. I'm passionate about things that I love, and I'll cry at a Hallmark commercial in a minute. But when people think I should be crying, I'm not crying. And people are always looking at me like, that's so interesting that you never cried at your father's funeral, but you'll cry at this. And it's like, yes, because there I had to produce. I had to hold it together. I had to make sure things happen. And if I get deep now and I can sit down in Dr. B's office and pick through this, I maybe didn't think that if I fell apart, anybody could save me way.
Gerald, I appreciate the ways that we are talking about these sort of people, giving them names like Permit Patty and Barbecue Becky and even Karen. But there's like a cutesiness to all these nicknames that to me sort of like takes the some of the sting out of it. Like we understand because of our cultural competency that Karen is a villain. But Karen, the word, does not sound like a villain, right? Barbecue Becky sounds like somebody who we could have fun with, right? So I feel like in a lot of the nicknames, we are presenting the story in a way that brings some of the pain of it down in a weird way. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's more code switching. You know, we have to understand that our people are engineered to make sure the message is translated to our community, but it's lessened to the outside community, so it's not viewed as a threat. So we make laughter, we make light of situations that are very serious. So Barbecue Becky, Karen, when we truly mean these people to be the crux and the enemy in any story, but it's part of the socialization of the last 400 years. We know that we cannot be completely direct in how we feel for fear of reprisal or more damage or more danger or more being neglected and pushed to the side. So I think we're diluting what our story is, but that's part of the socialization of African-American existence in this country.
Dimitri, I think that we as Black men have to do more to be sensitive to when our sisters cry and to understand what they're doing. And, you know, you see the way that white men respond to white women's tears. Are we listening? Are we responding to Black women's tears well enough?
I think no. I think it's a space we need to learn to hold. And I think it's not just black men to black women, but I think it's black women to black men as well. I think we don't actually hold space for people to be not just human, but vulnerable in moments. I think the thing about it is, as a young man, the first time I seen my mama cry was groundbreaking for me. And the reason being is because when the black woman breaks down, the system breaks down because they're the entire structure of it. And it's almost mind-blowing to think that this person who's so strong and this person who is so in charge and put forward in every other aspect of life is human. And I think if we don't get back to that humanistic standpoint, we're making it easy for the cops to dismiss their feelings, for everybody else to dismiss what those tears actually mean.
One more thing for Lauren and Doc, and we're going to go in that order and see what how you guys feel about this. But let's say you're out with your man, be it your partner or your brother, either your blood brother, your chosen brother, and Karen starts attacking and like calling the police because she's crying, right? And you were there. Nothing happened. It's like a barbecue Becky type situation. Your man did nothing. But now she's crying and she's calling the police. What do you do?
Going to me first. If this is counter to probably what we're discussing, but would be my instinct. I would hand the camera to him and tell him to record me and her. And I would intervene and step in between them. I would ask him to step back because my intuition and my instinct would be to protect him. And I know that nothing good will come from if there's any physical interaction between them, but I know I can handle it. And I know between me and her, it's a different dynamic. And that's exactly what I would do. And I would say that it bothers me to say that is my truth, but that is what it is. And I would do it time and time again, because when Dimitri made the point that when Black women cry, it's also the reciprocal thing of when Black men cry, the light bulb went out on me. And I thought, that is the thing about a Black woman. We always are understanding that we need to be reciprocal. We are never the subject alone of protection and provision. It always is. And yes, we have to do that back. But for the white woman, you never see when the white woman cries, the world rallies to protect her. But you don't hear that then go, and we've got to protect the white man's tears too. That isn't ever a part of their conversation. And so I only say that to illuminate that we are never the lone subjects of protection. And in a situation like that, my instinct would be to be my man's protector, intervene, and whatever had to happen between me and that woman. And I need him to record that.
And since you just cooked when you said when white women tears are coming down, then that ignites and activates the white man and gives her the singular attention. But when Black women have the tears, it doesn't ignite just the Black man to make it singular about us. It ignites what Torrey just said, that, oh, but we cry too, and we have problems too. This is not your moment, bruh. This is about me crying right now. Let's make it about me singular. And when you're crying, we're making it about you singular. That is why I can't wait to have that conversation on this called Gender War, Torrey. But let me get to answering your question. I would definitely have to echo what my sis Judge Lauren said. The only difference is I wouldn't care if my brother had a camera or not. I would definitely get in between. It would be a few choice of curse words that are not a crime that would tell her, bitch, you are tripping. That did not happen. You are delusional. And I am tired of us having to cater to your bitch ass acting up in these ways. My brother did nothing at all, and we are leaving. You can call the police, the sheriffs, or whoever else you want. I have contacts in my Rolodex as well. I'll make my calls while you make your calls. We can do it here or we can do it later. But you're going to stand over there. He will stand over here. And my brother will already know, because we have this conversation all the time with the men in my family. When it comes to a woman, no matter what race she is, if sister or mom is there, you shut up and let us handle it, because you're a man and we don't want that interaction between you disrespecting a woman. But I'm going to have to say, I'm sorry. In those moments, I'm going to use my freedom of speech to say my choice words that are not illegal, but to tell her, you are tripping and we are tired of the bullshit. I've done it before. I will do it again. And it felt damn good to be in my emotion, identify and externalize exactly how I felt. I'm not suppressing my emotions for anybody who systemically has their own shit going on. They're trying to project onto my brother, myself, or my man. I'm not okay with that.
It's a great point. But let's just touch the other side for a second, because Black women cry too. They cry differently. Sometimes the sisters cry in silence.
Yes.
Or they don't cry at all, even though they feel it. And sometimes they're told to suck it up, right? And to minimize the discomfort of other people, including the brothers. Have you seen this in your work? And has your own fear or anxiety or pain been sort of like stuffed down or dismissed while somebody else's emotions were being prioritized?
Yeah, it's happened. And it's happened to Judge Lauren's point. It's happened in relationship with a Black man where I'm trying to have my moment and he's making the moment about we both have an issue. And I understand that. But right now, can we just talk about my issue? And the positive that came out of that is that actually gave me the wisdom to learn that, wait a minute, when he's in his moment and he's having a problem, let me make sure I make it all about him. Let me magnify all of his emotions, magnify everything he's experiencing, and let me not even bring up any issue I have, because I want him to know he's fully supported. It's all about you, and we can work through your stuff without me making it about me every time you have a problem. It's very unhealthy when we do that. And I feel like it is a reciprocity thing. But I do have to say, I'm sorry, I'm going to echo it again. That is one thing I do want to shift the narrative about. When white women cry, they singularly get the help. They singularly get the activation of their white freaking man because they're directly connected to them. When they vote, they're connected. We have to change the narrative that the Black man, the Black woman, some kind of way became a disconnect. No, when you hear Black man, you should automatically hear Black woman. When you hear Black woman, you do automatically hear Black man. That's the difference in our society today. And I can't wait till we have that, because you heard what I said. When you hear Black woman, you automatically hear the covering of her on her Black man. But when you hear Black man, okay, you don't automatically hear that he's connected to covering the Black woman. That is a problem. And a lot of people don't like it, but the truth is what it is. And this is Truth Talks.
I want you guys to go in the chat and talk about having to hold your tears in, having them dismissed, whether socially or in the workplace, but like the work that you've had to do to not be allowed to cry. Because sometimes we know sisters need to cry, want to cry, deserve to cry. And for some reason, society is not allowing them to cry. And that's really painful. And when white tears get more protection than Black lives, we don't have a problem. We have a legacy with deadly consequences. And while their tears summon safety to them, ours are met with suspicion, silence, unrealistic measures of strength that we are never allowed to release. That's crazy. So what we got to do now is stop shrinking, stop softening the truth, stop joking about it, stop letting a single tear rewrite the story. This is Truth Talks. Let's let our emotions flow, and let's not just say it. Let's keep it real and expose it. That's our show for tonight. Thank you so much. Like, comment, and subscribe at Truth Talks Live. Watch us simulcasting right here on the Black Star Network.
Can I jump in there before we end that real quick? Can I jump in there before we end that real quick? I just want to leave a message to my Black women. This is a final note. I want to let you know that if you're a Black woman and you holding it all in, this is a reminder right now. You ain't got to be strong today. You don't. You don't have to carry it all. You are allowed to cry, to grieve, to be messy, to say, I'm not okay. That is not a weakness. It is your truth. Like you said, this is Truth Talk story. It is your truth. And you don't owe anyone silence for their comfort. You do not. So let it all out. Call your friend. Call me. Call Torre. He ain't gonna text back, but go ahead, Tori. I just wanted to make sure they knew that. I just wanted to make sure
that's beautifully said and really important. That's our show for tonight. Like, comment, and subscribe at Truth Talks Live. Watch us simulcasting right here in the Black Star Network after Roland Martin Unfiltered, the best lead-in in the industry. Support Black media by going to CashApp at Truth Talks Live. Visit TruthTalksLive.com to advertise or become a VIP member. We're here every weeknight, 8 p.m. EST and 8 p.m. PST. That's in New York on the East Coast and where Dr. Bryant lives on the West Coast, 8 p.m. You can support us by advertising with Truth Talks. We reach over 10 million people with all of our social networks. So if you want to have a large, engaged Black audience, come mess with Truth Talks. Small businesses and influencers can also partner with us by visiting TruthTalksLive.com. We want to thank our supporters, Juanita Motti, Kyla Carr, and Benjamin Gomes for their weekly support For the truth, if you want to be in our credits, hit that Cash App and show your love. We have more people, Robert Jones, Dr. Weta Waltrice, and Theodore Gordon joining the crew. So thank you so much for the Cash Apps and appreciate you supporting the show. Next week, Ebony K. Williams, my friend, and Ryan Cameron will be on the show. And we will be here with you arguing and loving each other every night at 8 p.m. It's Truth Talks. We'll see you tomorrow.
Good night, y'all.